So the people will do
Just hang it symbolically, remove it with the commissioners and
just from the base, that will be fine.
It's all the symbolic
Please, I have to be part of this removal. No, I'm going to send it to Donald. I'm going to see it. I'll send it now.
those in government, I have commissioners.
No, they are doing it because I'm a PDP man. I'm helping them to remove the thing. I'm a PDP man.
It's okay. Just small. It's not a symbolic thing.
That's symbolic. That is removing the issue.
Yes. Chairman.
Please, I have to. I think I have to join because I'm a PDP man. We are removing APC from here. All to the people.
PDP.
Give Dr. Obi.
Hello and welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Okushaki and I'm with my co-host Precious Chukudi. And on Today in the News, we give and analyze some of the stories making waves on the newspapers across Nigeria. And of course, this morning we'll be starting with the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. And on the front page, we have reactions trail Obaseki deputies exits from APC. Oshiomhole scared of educated people. This is coming from Governor Obaseki. I'm leaving APC with great pains, and this is coming from Shaibu. We are not aware of Obaseki's resignation, the APC saying this. It's good riddance. This is coming from Edo APC factional chair. I'll serve out my tenure as Edo APC chairman, and this is coming from the Jesua. We will welcome Obaseki and others, and this is coming from Edo PDP chair. And Femi Adesina is saying that Buhari tried to settle Oshiomhole and Obaseki's rifts. And you can see more of this on page 5. And moving on to other stories, on page 28, we have appeal court upholds Oshiomhole's suspension as APC national chairman. Dismisses the suit, affirms a suspension by ward in Edo. And page 8, we have a protest against banditry rock Castina as Niger communities threaten self-help rather. On page 14, we have insecurity threatens over $80 billion investment in telecom sector. And lastly, on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, we have Sanwo-Olu suspense reopening of churches, mosque in Lagos. And you can see more of that on page 21. And from the front page of Vanguard newspaper, we move straight to the Guardian.
And on the front page of Guardian, we have major headlines: Suspense as airlines resume operations without bailout. The riders, we have 11 carriers await NCAA's clearance. We are checking compliance with safety guidelines, says a regulator. Airlines will collapse without government palliative, a new business model. And stories above, we have Lagos backtracks, shuts worship centers, others indefinitely. You can see more on that story on page 3. And on page 3 still, we have JAM pegs cutoff mark for varsity admission at 160. And also on page 3 still, we have kids write Buhari for protection, friendlier COVID-19 response. And on page 5, ICPC seizes multi-million naira property from Bauchi governor. And we have on page 6, Why I Quit APC by Obaseki. The writers, we have court sacks Oshiomhole, deputy tenders resignation letter at ward. Oshiomhole is afraid of educated people. Party Mama welcomes development. VC refused report, affirms governor's certificate. No danger in PDP accepting Obaseki. And away from the Guardian, move straight to the Nation newspaper.
And on the front page of the Nation, we have Edo Governor Obaseki Shaibu resigns from APC. Appeal Court upholds Oshiomhole's suspension as the National Working Committee picks Ajimobi as acting chairman. And you can see more of that on page 6. Now on the stories below, we have a protest against banditry rock Castina and Niger. You can see more of that on page 6. Still on page 6, we have a Lagos Imam Christian Association of Nigeria back a reversal of worship centers reopening. Sowolu with rising COVID-19 cases, churches, mosques can't reopen. And inside the Nation, we have a minister hails media over virus battle. Wike may lock down Boni. Fear of implosion grieves Abia. Virus drug not approved. Kwara viewing centers can't open. You can see more of those on pages 6 and 7. And on page 25, we have a lottery betting firms withhold the governor's 100 billion naira. And on the story above, we have an electricity tariff to go up next month. Lastly, on the front page of the Nation, we have English Premier League returns as Man City hosts Arsenal. And from the front page of the Nation, move straight to the Punch.
And on the Punch newspaper, we have major headlines: APC worsening crisis, Appeal Court upholds Oshiomhole's suspension, Obaseki heads for PDP, the riders, Edo Governor visits Villa, says predecessor not qualified to question certificates. Again, APC's Governors Forum, DG renews call for national chairman to remove party names hospitalized ex-governor Ajimobi as acting national chair. And stories below, we have Akeredolu presents form to Buhari, confidence of re-election. You see more on that story on page 5, and on page 4 and 5, businessman being investigated for 75 million naira fraud dies during COVID-19 test. And on page 6, Naira Marley, executive jet fights dirty. Fashola denies involvement. And stories above, we have Wadume, soldiers shot our driver, fired at me in the bush, says survivor. You can see more on that story on page 15. And on page 20, UK researchers list drugs as likely COVID-19 cure. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, new electricity tariffs effective July, says minister. And from the front page of the Punch newspaper, we move straight to this day newspaper.
And on the front page of this day newspaper, we have Obaseki resigns, Oshiomhole suspended, Ajimobi hospitalized, and NWC divided. And the writer says 14 back suspended chairman, 3 opposed, 3 neutral. Governors are set to move in. 18 Edo local government chairman reaffirm support for governor's re-election bid. And you can see more of that on page 14. On page 1, we have industry leaders seek stimulus package for media. Now we have a federal government rolls out guidelines for reopening of schools. And the writer says research shows UK drug reduces COVID-19 deaths. Lagos suspends plan to reopen worship centers. And lastly, on the front page of this day, we have new electricity tariffs take effect in July. Minister insists. And that's all we have on the paper review for this morning. But I will be going on a short break now, and when we return, we'll be going straight to the analysis segments. Stay with us to the back.
I want to inform you that we will not be proceeding with the opening of the places of worship as been said earlier for the 19th and 21st. We will be suspending it until further notice. We've critically had to have a thorough review of where we are as a state and our condition. Our review indicates that we needed to suspend that attempt of opening. And so, gentlemen of the press, we will be seeking your cooperation to communicate effectively that the opening of religious homes that were due for this weekend has been put on hold, and we will not be opening them this weekend any longer. We will be communicating with you in the days ahead when that will happen.
Right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Today in the News on Vanguard Live. I'm Damlola Obaseki, and I'm with my co-host,
Precious Chukudi.
And of course, we've reviewed some of the front pages of the papers this morning, and now we are going to the analysis segment. And of course, we'll be starting with the stories on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. But before that, there was a video of Sowolu's speech where he suspends the reopening of churches, mosques in Lagos. That was what we played before we started this segment. So starting with, but we'll be going back to that later, but let's go to the top story on the front page of Vanguard, and that's reactions trail Obaseki's deficit exit from APC. So the indefinite suspension of the planned, the reactions actually trail Obaseki's deficit exit, as the policy was awash with mixed views. And his deputy, Comrade Philip Shaibu, ended days of speculations on the directions of their political future by quitting the APC. Obaseki's quest for second term on the platform of the APC went up to smoke via his disqualification for the June 22nd primary by the party's screening committee. The governor who announced his resignation says he will soon disclose the political platform he will use to seek re-election in the September 19 poll. Governor Obaseki described Comrade Oshiomhole as one who is scared of educated people. Meanwhile, the chairman of the section of the party, a lawyer to Obaseki, Mr. Jesua, says even though the party has lost huge assets in the state, it would see to the end his 4-year mandate as a chairman of the party. So that's a reaction to the resignation, although there's actually a lot of mixed reactions concerning this resignation. Also, the chairman of Edo APC, lawyer to Oshiomhole, that's David, described the resignation as good riddance to bad rubbish. There's actually a lot of reactions, but if you want to get more of that, of course, you can always see it on our website. Okay, moving on from that story, Precious.
Okay, we'll move on to still in APC party. Appeal Court upholds Oshiomhole's suspension as APC national chairman. The Court of Appeal affirmed the suspension of the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress APC, Adams Oshiomhole, by his word. And in a unanimous judgment, a 3-man panel of justices held that Oshiomhole appeals challenging his suspension lacked merit. And Justice Mohammed Lamido, who delivered the lead verdict, dismissed the appeal and also affirmed the decision of an Abuja High Court that earlier validated Oshiomhole's suspension by his word in Edo State. It will be recalled that the Abuja High Court at Jabi had on March 4th suspended Oshiomhole from performing the duties of the national chairman of the APC. It's a lot of things are already happening in that party. With the deputy leaving, the governor also leaving the party, confusion here and there. It's a very dicey situation. Actually,
before we started the show, and that was before the paper review, there was actually a video of Deputy Governor Shaibu pulling down the APC flag in his office. We played for that video. Let's watch that video again.
So the people they do
just hang it symbolically with the commissioners and
just from the page that will be fine.
just the symbolic
Please, I have to be part of this removal. No, I'm going to send it to them. I'm going to see it. I'll send it now. No, they are doing it because I'm a PDP man. I'm helping them to remove the thing. I'm a PDP man.
It's okay. Just small. You know the symbolic thing.
That's symbolic. That is removing the...
Yes. Now, where do you Chairman.
Please, I have to. I think I have to join because I'm a PDP man. We are removing APC from here. All to the people.
PDP.
Give your Toby.
Okay, so that's a video of the Deputy Governor of those states actually pulling down the APC flag in his office. And we can hear people clapping also in the video. And although there have been a lot of people, people are really curious to know which party, is moving to. But of course, it says that he will be announcing that in a few days.
Okay, so I think we should take some people's comments already. And this is from Yusuf Alfa. It says Niger politics. This is from Shamshuddin. He says, what a shameless party. This one is from Douglas. He says, all this stuff now politics. This is from Wagwe. He says, I love Governor Godwin Obaseki. Second tenure, 100%. This is from Good Hearts. The person says, this na baby politics. This is from Jonathan. No, this is from Engineer Mpama. He says, a nation full of daily confusion. And we will take this one from Robert Green. He says, pictures of patients in isolation centers and death in mortuary so we can believe your story and run for our dear life. Otherwise, so he's still saying that there's a couple of people who still do not believe that COVID-19 is real, but it is real. And this is from Abu Elojoy. He says, Oshiomhole, if he has, he should prove us wrong. Obaseki said he's scared of educated people because he doesn't go to school. Wike said he doesn't go to school and he can't prove us wrong up till now. Just think about it. And this one is from Taufik. He says, shame on all membership. I never got good results since APC stepped in from Mr. President and the other cabals of failure. This is from Overcome Ugu. It says, now malaria, how come? Another virus is coming and it's all for COVID-19 workers. The name is incurable virus. This is from Kabia Abdullahi. He says, you see how patrician put person into he should have exercised. This is not clear. This is from Tim Ikegu. He says, that man should better allow churches to open. The exception is getting unbearable. This is from Abu Ofoke. He says, whatever that is not ordained by God cannot stand. The evil planted by Oshiomhole has fell back on him because God was not involved. This is from Henry Prey. He says, there was a country, and this is from Saratu Hassan, only in Nigeria can such horrible things happen. Alright, so that's the comment. Please ensure that when you send in your comments, ensure that they are clean. Don't insult anybody. Just say what you need to say and pass across your information. Thank you.
Okay, so before we move to another story, do you have any story?
Yeah, so we'll move on to this one. Businessman being investigated for 75 million fraud dies during COVID-19 test. And the businessman Godwin Julius, who was being investigated for alleged involvement in a 75 million naira fraud, has died while being tested for COVID-19 at the infectious disease hospital in Yaba, Lagos State. Godwin and one Obinali Oshiomhole were arrested in the Ejigbo area of Lagos State and were detained after the police reportedly traced some of the money to an account belonging to the late businessman. It was gathered that the policemen acted on petition by the representative of the United States of America-based company Terra Roots International Corporation, Wisdom Chris, that the firm has been swindled out of 75 million naira. It's a very, very sad one. And somebody was saying that this man took the evidence with him because apparently he died, and so it's like the story, they can't even ask him again if anything happened. And the other guy was saying stuff that the man was already complaining about some symptoms of COVID, but the police were not listening to what he was saying. It was when he became very serious that they now decided to take him to the infectious center. It just shows you how much this COVID-19 is real. So we should take preventive measures. Yeah, more stories.
Okay, still on COVID-19. Actually, Sanwo-Olu suspends reopening of churches, mosques in Lagos. Let's take a look at the video again with the speech of Governor Sanwo-Olu.
I want to inform you that we will not be proceeding with the opening of the places of worship as been said earlier for the 19th and 21st. We will be suspending it until further notice. We've critically had to have a thorough review of where we are as a state and our condition. Our review indicates that we needed to suspend that attempt of opening. And so, gentlemen of the press, we will be seeking your cooperation to communicate effectively that the opening of religious homes that were due for this weekend has been put on hold, and we will not be opening them this weekend any longer. We will be communicating with you in the days ahead when that will happen.
Okay, so while giving the 15th update on COVID-19 situation report, that's Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Governor of Lagos State, announced the suspension of the planned opening of religious centers in Lagos State. The governor says the measure became necessary to prevent the situation from getting out of hand following the evaluation of the course of the infection in the state. Governor Sanwo-Olu remarked that Lagos continues to be the epicenter of the coronavirus pandemic in Nigeria, with about 44% of the total confirmed number of confirmed cases nationwide. Also, the suspension actually, cited mixed reactions among stakeholders and cross-section of the populace. You have a lot of people who have been saying on social media that they've been looking forward to, to going to church on Saturday, on Sunday, and we have some people who have been saying they wanted to go to mass on Fridays. But also, let's just take a look at the big side of this. It's just trying to protect us and to curtail the spread of this coronavirus. And also, Dr. Jejumi Sodipo, that's the chairman of Medical Guide, says from evidence available that it was not safe to open worship centers, and that until the peak of the curve is determined, there is no scientific evidence to open churches and mosques. Medical doctors also insisted that reopening churches and mosques will escalate infection and death rate from COVID-19 in Nigeria. So what do you think of this?
Of course, I think it's a very good one. At first, when I heard that the governor was saying the churches and mosques could open, I was worried because I'm like, it's the church. People see the church and the mosques as a safe place where some people even lose guard and they are not even trying to be very careful because Jesus will save them, or God will save them. And so you see people not even practicing social hygiene, personal hygiene in church. They come out, they even forget to even use the sanitizer because they're like, we're in church. Especially those who are really very spiritual, they will see it from that angle. And before then, I was hearing reports of how they said even when church would open, people should not use the restroom, and I don't think that is even possible.
It's not possible
because
for you to be in church for hours.
Yes, there will be a couple of people who want to use the restroom, and they will hold the same door handles. They will sit on the same toilet. How do you want to, measure the gap of people who use the restroom and how they, and they also said before now, you're also saying that family members should sit on the same line. It's not possible. People come to church, family members, everybody sits in their sections, children will sit in children's section, parents will sit in parents section. How do you now want to monitor them? And
you know, actually, it said children should not go to church, but you know, we can't actually guarantee that because we have some parents who will still want to go to take their children to church. You know, we have some places where you know the churches are not really outside, and they feel it to be very safe that it's for them to take their children to church.
And some parents who do not have maybe any help at home and still want to come to church will have no other church to say, let me just carry my child to church. So I think it's very good. And you know, the increase in number of cases has also made them see that it's a very serious situation and cannot be joked around with, and it's something we need to be taking seriously. The only problem I have with is how Nigerians have, you know, have taken it in such laxity. They have not, you know, they feel like, oh, it's COVID-19. I mean, somebody was saying something that when we were just counting 1 to 3 cases, people were being very careful.
Very careful.
Now that we're counting them in 500s, Nigerians are no longer careful anymore. Before, you'd see how people wear nose masks and they're
some Nigerians are actually saying that there's actually a question mark to the number of confirmed cases in Nigeria. That is a question mark to it. That it's like they're just lying about it. Okay, let's even just forget about that. But you should know that it's in Nigeria, so let's try to protect ourselves, even if you are putting a question mark to that.
You know, the funny part is that people are saying, let them show us pictures and everything, but these same people are the same people who go out and stigmatize people who they will see their picture and say, is this not Bolanle? Now she get COVID-19 before. You know, all these things are one of the reasons why they are not trying to put out people's faces, because we are very known to be, you know, a people that would, you know, identify people by whatever has happened to them. For example, if you have a car that is always having, your tire is always, you know, getting less and all that. Say, that man that his car is always spoiling.
You know, all those things.
It's something that we are known for, stigmatizing people who have various kind of maybe health conditions or something. So that's the reason why they don't want to put out people's faces. But we've been seeing videos of, you know, isolation centers, what's happening, how it looks like. Without this, sometimes they even try to blur their faces so that you know that they are actual real human beings in this isolation center. So let me just take the story on Lagos overwhelmed and hospitals, isolation centers filled up, says doctors. So the Lagos branch of the Nigerian Medical Association and the Association of General and Private Medical Practitioners of Nigeria have reacted to the idea of treating asymptomatic COVID-19 patients in their homes. And the chairman of Lagos AGP MP and Dr. Tunji Akintade, he says that the decision to treat mild and asymptomatic COVID-19 patients at home was a tough decision for the state public because all the government hospitals and isolation centers in the state were filled up. I mean, even before now, there were issues of how we don't have enough bed space to, you know, take care of, you know, the influx of COVID-19 patients coming here and there. And, you know, now they're telling us that, okay, you know, as it's getting worse by the day, you might have to start to treat yourself at home. And that's the reason why we as people, we need to take personal hygiene seriously.
We need to keep
on with our nose mask. And you know, at the earlier stage of the relaxed lockdown, people were being very conscious. You take buses and, you know, the conductor say, if you're not wearing nose masks, no entry, you know. But now, you see, you enter buses and people are not even wearing nose masks.
The bus company in Lagos, you know, when this case first started, if you want to enter, you have to put on your face mask. But now it's not compulsory for you to put on your face mask. If you're with it, it's good. If you're not with it, that's fine.
No, we need to go back to that time because it's becoming serious. You don't have to wait till they come pick somebody on your street and you're like, really, this COVID-19 is real. No, it is happening. You know,
even if they see you picking someone from that street, they still question it and no, it's not real. You still see people questioning it and still asking that is it real or it's not real? I don't think so. So we just need to, even if you don't believe, just follow the safety guidelines to keep yourself safe and protect your families and also your neighbors.
Yeah.
So away from COVID-19 updates, going to universities. The JAMB Admission and Matriculation Board on Tuesday says it had pegged the cut-off marks of 2020 and 2021 admission for universities at 160, while that polytechnics was pegged at 120. Also, the cutoff point for colleges of education and innovative institution was fixed for 100, while institutions were warned not to charge more than 2,000 naira for screening. Minister of State Education, Emeka Wanjuba, says JAMB and tertiary institutions could take advantage of the current situation and consider candidates with SSC and other qualifying 2020 and 2021 admission process. I think that's a good news for students.
Yes, it's a good news, but the question is, will polytechnics and universities follow with it? Because we've seen incidents in the past of how they say, okay, because of one thing or the other, cutoff that is 200, let's take it down to 180. And students will still go write post-UMEs, and they'll still say the cutoff mark was put at 200.
I think
now,
it still pegs out to your course.
No, not even, it's not a function of the course, because it's something that is a known fact, because they will still do that. So the question is, it's good for them to say this.
Yeah.
How are they going to follow up with it to ensure that that is what the varsities, the universities, the polytechnics are doing? Do you understand what I'm saying?
But
because
we have situations of universities also coming out to release their own cutoff mark. So
that's
we're still waiting for that, not just this one coming from
that's what I'm saying, that it's one thing for the JAMB people
universities
to say that this is what we're putting the cutoff mark at. And it's another thing for the varsities, that's the universities and the polytechnics, to say, okay, we're going to stand by JAMB word and take the cutoff. We know some schools here in Nigeria that they feel like they are A-list schools, and if you don't have certain cutoffs, you can't go there. So some of these schools might eventually not even follow through with it. So the point is, it's good that JAMB is saying this thing. They should follow up with those schools, because now a child will be at home and saying, oh, I have 160, so I still have hope of going to that school that, yes, and then you get to buy the form and they tell you, no, if you don't have 180, it's there. I mean, I've seen experiences of these things happening in the past. People going to write JAMB and they're like, okay, they say there's a 180 benchmark for you to get to. If you don't get to that cutoff mark, and then JAMB says, okay, you can. If you have 160, you can go, and the school still insists on that 180, and the student can't even write the exam. So these are the issues. So it's one thing for JAMB to say that yes, we're reducing it to 160. There needs to be a follow-up with the universities and the polytechnics.
They also follow up with that, and the universities will also obey and release their cutoff mark if they're not going to follow it, so that we won't just give over to students at home. Okay, that's all we have on the paper review and analysis for this morning. But of course, before we go, we have to take Mr. and Mrs. And the first person speaking today is Mr. It says the bank gave you access to loans and business opportunities, holiday abroad, etc. Wait a minute, do you also have access to the bank manager? Well, Mrs. replied, yes. Mr. says, oh God, I'm dead. Mrs. replied, come on, the manager is a woman.
This too, they always have something to say all the time, but then
they always have the right response to each other's statements.
Yeah.
So that is how we have for the paper review and analysis for this morning. But don't forget that some of the stories that we're reporting on this show, you can always get it on our website, and that's www.vanguardngr.com. And also you can always subscribe to our Facebook, to our YouTube channel, and follow us on our social media platforms that are showing on your screen. And for now, on Today in the News is bye from me, Damlola Bushaki, and my co-host.
Bye from me, Precious. Thank you for watching.